the fundamental, like, I would say like platform of how we use Follow Up Boss to manage transactions is to use the deals section here. So it's just a really useful way to get a visual on any of the transactions or buyer broker agreements or even referrals that you have in Follow Up Boss that pertain to your clients. There's some really neat features in the sense that you can like tie a pending buyer back to the clients that are under contract and back to the team member on your team if it's more than just you. So really neat features there. And then it also gives you a nice pipeline to see like, okay, we've got $5 million in pending deals. We've closed $3.8 million for the year. And then buyer brokers, obviously, we don't have a value attached to those, but I suppose you could potentially track like what the buyers are pre-qualified for or something like that. So it's just a really nice way to understand where your business is at any point. But then we also use it as a way to start different checklists for the transaction as people move through the transactional process with our team. So the seller pipeline looks a lot the same. And when you have a new client who who goes under contract, you would actually start a new deal card over here in the temp start section. And you'd fill out, whatever the address is for the property they've gone under contract on, purchase price, close date, attach the client themselves right here. This is the team member who's handling that transaction, or you if you're a solo. And that person then gets dragged over here to a pending buyer. And by doing that, the tasks that we have outlined as a transaction checklist start applying to that contact over here on the right-hand side. So as you can see here, this is an example of a build that is created for someone who has a transaction coordinator. But if you don't have a transaction coordinator, we also have conceptualized like a solo build for anyone who might be just an agent who needs help getting this organized in their Follow Up Boss. And each of these tasks would be assigned to you as the agent instead of a transaction coordinator. So we can really set it up both ways. There's some little things that happen, like we have custom fields over here on the left-hand side that get filled out once you get that person under contract. So there's a buyer pending address, broker compensation, property type, fully executed contract date, contract price, initial deposit, second deposit, close date. All those things populate here into the left-hand side. The reason for these custom fields is that we then use those for templated emails throughout the whole transaction process. And instead of having to type this information over and over and over again, for instance, like the address in the subject line when an email goes out to your client or the lender or escrow, title, attorney, whatever that looks like for in your state, that email will populate with that email or with the address of the property in the subject line, and then whatever the subject of the email is. Over here on the right-hand side, there are tasks that apply. And in this case, this is my demo. So these are a bit out of order, but usually there is so this is where it starts for the new pending contract. So you're going to verify all the contact custom fields and deal custom fields are complete, and then check off that task. And then pending MLS listing printout, upload to broker file. Again, just check off those tasks, you or the TC, whoever they're assigned.
Hey, Chelly, are these all set up through lead flow in Follow Up Boss?
It's not through lead flow. It's just all through the deal stages.
Oh, so, got it. Okay.
When you move someone along from, like just a temp start stage over to pending, that's when these checklists apply. So the checklists are all built out. I've actually partnered with Elena to have this build be able to be installed in your Follow Up Boss by her team. I did a Bosses in Action episode for Follow Up Boss a couple of years ago. And as soon as I did that, people were reaching out to me like, hey, can you help me set this up in my Follow Up Boss? And I just wasn't able to keep track and keep up with the people who wanted help. So Elena and I partnered earlier last year to launch TC Assist. And that's basically what I'm reviewing with you. Part of that TC Assist build is for you to get all of these task checklists that I'm reviewing with you right now. And they're either set up for solo agents or agents with transaction coordinators. So we have two different types of the build. And then each of these transaction tasks is pre-populated into your build when you move forward with us. However, everything is totally customizable. So if your broker doesn't require that you add the pending MLS listing printout to their file, you could modify that task on a global level, and then every new pending buyer that will show up exactly how you want it to. Like, for instance, they don't require you to do that at all. You would just delete it. If there was a modification to that task, again, you can go in and customize everything that we already have set up for you. So as you move through these tasks, they're also very, they're just tasks in Follow Up Boss. So for instance, if this is something that you need help from, you're a TC and you need help from the agent to do, you can assign that task back over to the agent and set a reminder for them to do it by, the next day at 8 a.m. So there's just a lot of flexibility on actually the contact level per transaction. And then also on the global level to make sure that your templates, your checklists match, or action plans match the checklist that you actually use inside your business. The reason that we pre-build everything in there is that there's a lot of agents that are like, I really need help to get more organized around this. And I want a checklist to start with, and then I'll modify it myself. So it's really nice in the sense that we have all of that done for you. So that's a pending buyer scenario. When we come to sending some of the tasks that say send an email, all of the emails are templated with and they're all numbered, so they're really easy to call up in the Follow Up Boss system. So this is the intro at accepted offer, which would go from the buyer's TC to the attorney, escrow, or title contact. So I'm going to go over here to the email section, and I'm going to draft a new email and type BTC02. And that is going to pre-populate this email template that I have in my Follow Up Boss with the information that is in the custom fields here on the left-hand side that I showed you a few minutes ago. So that email template just popped in here. We're going to change the recipient to the, let's just say, escrow officer that we want to send this to. And it says new contract, TC intro and buyer info. Grace, this person is going under contract on this address. And it pre-populates all that information in from the custom fields that we filled out. And the template itself can be completely customized, but all of these emails are pre-written for you as well. So below is the buyer's information for the purchase of this property. Here is the buyer's information. So this is all coming from Follow Up Boss from the profile up here. So we're passing along the contact information for the buyer. We've got the compensation information that we entered in the custom fields. We have some places in the templates where there's a italicized and bolded section right here. Again, this can be edited on the global level one time. If, for instance, all deposits in your marketplace are wired to escrow, title, attorney, whatever that looks like. Or in some cases, like in our market, there's lots of different ways that those deposits make it over to escrow. So we have this bolded and italicized for our TCs to make a modification to this template once they know how the deposit is getting over to the escrow person. And then contract details are here, all from the custom fields again. We have a place to indicate if they want a home warranty, what their close date is. So this essentially gives the escrow officer all the key information that they need, but it was a really easy to populate template that I didn't hardly have to type anything except for maybe updating what the deposit information is, and then hit send. So all of the emails throughout the whole transaction are templated in that same way. And if we go over to action plans, you can get an idea of, like for a solo agent, we have an 8-step checklist or action plan for buyer brokers that are executed, buyer pending, closed, contingent buyers, canceled buyers. And then same thing on the list side, pre-listing checklist, active on MLS checklist, price reduction, seller marketing, canceled, expired, withdrawn. And then pending sellers. And each of these checklists are all pre-built, pre-installed, so that they have all the information that, or excuse me, all of the checklist items that are kind of like a universal checklist for transactions across the country. You, of course, might do things a little bit different, and you have the ability to edit these. If there's a task in here that you would never do in your marketplace or something that doesn't pertain to you, you can just delete it. Or all of these tasks are editable at the global level. So you get the ability to modify things the way that you would like to. Same with the email templates, the pending buyer templates. There's 22 pre-written emails that are all like ready to go, similar to the one that I just showed you, where they pull in custom fields from the left-hand transaction custom fields, and it reduces the amount of need to type and retype data over and over again. So that's a really quick overview of everything that's included, and I have a few minutes to answer any questions that you may have.
Shay?
Yes.
Here's one of the issues we have in Follow Up Boss. So I'm mainly work with listings, don't work with buyers. And so the issue we're having is the assigned agent. So once they've listed and sold, they get turned over to my partner Gina, and the only way we can figure out to sort of have the action plans work accordingly, because once you change the agent name from myself to Gina, it changes all the action plans. So we just set up a duplicate contact for that client as a buyer. How do you have situations where the listing agent's different than the buyer agent with the same client?
Yeah, all the time.
How do you do it?
So there's a couple different, I just have a few other questions for you. So I understand that so are you representing buyers and she's representing sellers predominantly? Is that how?
No, I represent, I'm only a listing agent.
You're only a listing agent.
Yeah.
And then why do you switch them to Gina after they close? Just what's the reasoning behind that?
Well, she works with them as buyers.
Okay.
So if they're a seller and a buyer, that's
if they're a seller and a buyer, and oftentimes are they a seller and a buyer at the same time?
Can be, yeah.
So in that case, we would do exactly what you just described as far as duplicating the contact.
Okay.
So we have Jane Doe with the last name, with the word seller at the end of her last name.
Yeah. Okay.
Jane Doe buyer.
Yeah.
And buyer might have, an action plan that pertains to 1234 Elm Street that she's buying. And then seller might have an action plan pertaining to the property that she's selling.
Yeah.
Once they close on either of those properties, we merge them right back together. And we have instances where we have clients that have 20 closed deals, and we've done them all that way, where we just keep a duplicate contact record for that person.
Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much what we've been doing. I just thought maybe there's a better workaround for it, and because I've talked to Follow Up Boss about it, and it just seems kind of.
Unfortunately, with the way that they have things set up, it's really that's a best practice at like the 400 transactions a year level. The only other way to do that is to have one contact, but then all of the transaction tasks get kind of jumbled together, and
Yeah.
we've tried it that way, and it's much
doesn't
more
work
to do it the way that you're doing it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, Shelly, I have a question. Back on your screen when you were sharing it with the deals,
Yes.
how do you name the tab that the deals are under?
That's an admin account functionality. You can go into your admin account or the owner account, and when you're in the deals section, there's a little gear that pops up next to the deals pipelines, and then you can manage the the names of the pipelines or move them around or change their color, things like that.
So if you went from like the end of the year, like 2024, and now you need to start at 2025, how do you make sure that that 2025, I guess all you have to do is put 2025 and just move all the 2025 ones under that tab. There's nothing you have to fix on there other than that name in the 2025 tab, right?
Exactly. You could, yeah, one of two ways. We just keep this is a sales management tool for us versus a reporting tool for the team that I manage. And so in what you're describing, you can archive deals from 2024. So that's what we do. And then that way we just keep a list of what our current deals are. And then a lot of people, though, will do exactly what you're describing, which is create a 2024 closed pipeline. And then they'll move everything that's closed into that 2024 closed pipeline. And then they'll start a new close for 2025, if that makes sense. And then each time that year rolls over, you would just move that closed down to whatever the year is. So there's a couple different ways to do that, but you're on the right track.
Thank you.
Okay, I have to hop off for another call, but I think Elena shared my calendar, and if there's any other questions that I can help anyone with, or if you want to see a little bit more about how we do the TC Assist build or install it inside your system, just grab a time with me, and looking forward to chatting with you.